This is another episode of Talks with Tyler ISD, a podcast about the passionate people who have a heart for students. This podcast is brought to you by Texas Bank and Trust. Thank you for joining us for another episode of Talks with Tyler ISD. I'm your host, Jennifer Hines, and joining us today is Principal Mina Naranjo, and you are with Birdwell Dual Language Immersion School, the only dual language immersion school for pre-K through 8th in all of East Texas. We're glad to have you back on the show.
I'm glad to be here. It's been a couple years and much has happened. Really good things for our school.
The last time that you were here, you were just starting in your new role at Birdwell. Tell us a little bit about your background, though, leading up to you being the principal at Birdwell.
I did a whole lot of different things. I started out in middle school, I worked high school, I worked central administration, whether it was direct campus support in the classroom as a middle school English teacher, instructional coach, cognitive coach, coordinator, bilingual ESL, director, bilingual ESL, dean of instruction at Tyler High School, principal at Ramey Elementary, and needless to say, all those experiences came together in a shocking way, because when I used to be a bilingual director, we used to talk, we would fantasize about a dual language program into secondary. And when the opportunity came, it all came together.
And now you get to lead it. How
Absolutely.
Wonderful. Tell us a little bit about your school. What makes it so special? Because it is a special place.
It is a special place. Conceptually, we have a two-way dual language program, and we serve students who are learning a second language, whether it's English or whether it's Spanish, but they all come together, they all mix together. But we also provide a lot of cultural interactions, culturally relevant experiences for our students as part of the dual language experience. And so that makes it very different, whether we're doing morning announcements or campus celebrations, the music we have, the vibe that we have, the jokes that we have, the note-taking strategies, even homework, there's so many culturally infused pieces that comes along with it. And soccer, we love our soccer.
Oh, yes, y'all do.
Oh my gosh, we love our soccer. And today, or not today, but this year was a record-breaking year for our middle school students for soccer.
Oh, that's wonderful. Well, obviously, one of the reasons that we're talking with you right now is we are in the middle of our magnet school enrollment application time. Tell us a little bit about what parents need to know. When is the best age to consider enrolling your student in this program if they're interested, and kind of what that looks like?
So there are two key ages: pre-K.
Let me just not
say
kindergarten,
pre-K.
not first, but I know you can still take them at that age.
Yes, but it's very hard, and I'll say why. I have 3 full classes to fill in pre-K. By the time kindergarten comes around, I have 1 class out of 4 that I can fill. So the competition is really stiff. And then
there's not as many spaces.
There aren't. And then from 1st to 5th, it's harder because we may have 2 or 3 spots that open up, and the student has to have a strong command of Spanish, academic language by the time they're in 1st through 5th grade. Pre-K and kinder, I'm just looking that they have a strong language. It doesn't matter which one, as long as they have a strong basis.
And they don't have to know 2 languages before they come to the campus. That's very important. That's a question that a lot of parents want to know.
Yes, they don't have to be proficient in 2 languages. They don't even have to be proficient, quote unquote, in Spanish. They just need to have a strong foundation in their native language. With that, they're going to do just fine to acquire the second language. And then middle school, 6th grade is also a key entry point, for the reason being that we're so specialized in what we can offer in middle school. I can honestly say if your child is into band, is into football or basketball, we're limited as far as being able to offer those experiences. So not everyone gets to roll over into the middle school program, because you have to know your child. If your child is athletic,
if they're going to want that, then yes.
And you're spending money at football practices, basketball practices outside of school, we totally understand. So 6th grade is another entry point where we do have more spots available.
And if they do come from middle school, they actually have the opportunity to start getting some of those high school credits. Is that right?
Absolutely. So outside of what most middle schools offer, they offer the algebra track, professional communications. For us, what sets us apart is our students can leave with 3 to 4 high school Spanish credits already done. And what that does is in high school, it opens up their schedule to other electives that are part of their career and college pathways, which is advantageous. Whether they go to the traditional high school or early college high school, they have more flexibility over their schedule to take those classes that they look forward to taking.
Wow, and if they keep going in their language, they can earn the seal of biliteracy, and that's something that's great for college applications. I mean,
Absolutely.
If you just keep looking towards the future.
Absolutely. So they knock out all their high school Spanish credits with us, and they just have to have a good grade in their English class, and they take English for 4 years at the high school. So if they can sustain that, then they're already set.
That is incredible. Now, I know that you said if your student is wanting to do band or wanting to do football, y'all are limited on that, but you're not limited on extracurricular activities. You do still offer several things, including athletics.
Yes, we do. And we are fortunate that we have a sister school like Caldwell where we can come together. And we're fortunate that the district also has middle school programs as a growth pipeline into the high school program. So we offer soccer, we offer swimming, we offer tennis. And, who knows, maybe one day we could offer golf too.
Yeah, right. And I know cross country is on the list as well. So you do offer a lot of different extracurricular activities, but you also offer a lot of that cultural piece that you were talking about that you don't necessarily get at other campuses. Tell us about some of the celebrations and things that y'all do throughout the year. I know, Cinco de Mayo is obviously one of them, and you do a lot for Hispanic Heritage Month. What are some of the other things that y'all do?
Oh my gosh. And this is the hard part, because even though we have Hispanic Heritage Month celebrations, we really celebrate it throughout the year.
It's all year long.
All year long, all day long with the things that we do. And so whether it's our t-shirts, whether it's our morning announcements, whether it's events, our awards assembly is called Viernes Victorioso because we hold those at the end of each quarter on Friday, but we put our flavor, our sabor into it. When we celebrate hard, we infuse music, we use a lot of Spanglish, we use a lot of pop culture references. We have celebrations like the World Cup. For us, it's called Copa Entre Generaciones, where our middle school students play against staff.
I love that. That's one of the most fun things that y'all do.
And that was an accident.
Yeah.
Well, not an accident. It's just that year we happened to have the World Cup in Qatar. It was so hot that FIFA moved it to the fall.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, the kids are apparently into soccer, and the staff, we have to go hard with World Cup. We have to. It's only once every 4 years, and it's usually in the summer. So we did it, and it just morphed into this annual tradition that just grows and grows and grows. Even now we have sponsors, and I never even contemplated that. And I'm like, okay, so this is what we do.
They fully embrace it.
Yes.
Well, tell us a little bit about, especially for those parents at home listening to this right now, what is it like for the child to go into this dual language immersion program? So you're speaking one language, you don't know another. How does that translate in terms of classes? I know that they're the peers are teaching each other on the playground as the kids speak, but kind of explain how that works.
So we have a two-way model, and what that essentially means is we have students that are either English dominant or Spanish dominant, or a little bit of both, but we mix all our students together, right? So the best way to learn a second language is to have access to a strong model of that second language. That's why we mix them. When they start in pre-K, it's an immersion program, so we throw them all in Spanish. And I know sometimes that can shock parents, like, oh, no, we just throw them all. Why? Because at 4 and 5 years old, they are more daring.
Yeah.
They're more daring. They're not criticizing them. They don't care what they sound like. They don't care if it's messed up. They're just going to do it.
And they're little sponges at that age. They're absorbing everything.
Everything. And our teachers are so good at using total physical response and other methods to make whatever a student hears comprehensible. There's a lot of visualization. There's a lot of gesticulation. There's just a lot of visual supports. All those things are part of comprehending a second language. And you know that when you travel to another country, if you don't understand, you're just looking for visual cues.
Yes.
And a lot of repetition to understand. And so 90% of the day is in Spanish, 10% of the day is in English. And then as they move up in grade levels, we start shaving down the amount of Spanish and increasing the amount of English. By the time they hit 4th grade, half the days in English, half the days in Spanish, Whatever we do not repeat instruction. So if we taught students how to multiply fractions or something like that, we'll teach it, but we're not going to reteach it in the second language. We may focus on high note pieces like key vocabulary to help with the language transfer, but we won't repeat. And that allows us to maximize our instructional minutes of the day, because we don't get extra days of instruction.
Right.
We have to cram it in 2 languages, and then we have homework on top of it as well, because it's 2 languages. Your children are doing everything in 2 languages at the same time. So it is an investment, but you start seeing students crack out of their shells right now in pre-K. A lot of our English dominant kids, you're hearing them say Spanish, and the accent that they have is not an English accent. They are picking up the Spanish accent, and that's a beautiful piece as well.
That's really neat. Well, tell us a little bit about the bilingual and biliterate piece, because a lot of people think, oh, they'll be able to speak it. No, this is speak it, write it. This is the whole thing.
This is academically, your child is going to be proficient in reading, writing, math, science, social studies in Spanish. And that, I'm glad you asked that question, because a lot of times for parents who have their students apply in 1st, 2nd, 3rd, or 4th grade, they say, but my child knows Spanish and we speak it at home. That's not the same as academic Spanish. The student may be able to say what they want to eat.
Right.
They may be able to say or sing along to music, but that's not the same as actually completing and understanding lessons in science. There's keyboard. Like I'm not even fluent like that. I don't profess to being biliterate. I can read and write, but I am limited in science. I am limited in math if I had to do it in Spanish.
But we have great teachers who are, and they do a wonderful
I'm the poster
job.
child. You do not want your child to speak Spanish the way I do, and people believe, oh, she's really good at speaking Spanish. Yeah, I can
speak it. Yes,
I can speak. I could get by. I can survive. But this is not the Spanish your child's going to get. Your child's going to get academic Spanish,
which is a totally different thing, and it's quite amazing that they're able to do that, because you're really giving them the communication tools, the critical thinking, the collaboration, like all of it in these 2 different languages. And that's setting them up for success. I mean, just looking at, becoming a global citizen, their ability to go and work, in the world is amazing and puts them a step ahead.
In the world of artificial intelligence, what are those skills that AI cannot replace? Emotional intelligence, empathy, working together, collaborating, and students are going to get that. People say, well, they'll get that at other schools too. However, language really shapes the way we perceive the world. In English, we're very direct.
Yeah.
We are very get to the point and then tell me details. In Spanish, we take our time. We start off with details and then we get to the point eventually. And so there's a sense of urgency and time in English. Time is money. We schedule things ahead of time. In Spanish, we'll get to it when we get to it. What matters more is the relational. Let me give you details, and then let me get to the point.
Yeah, and you got to think about it differently.
And you do, and so you're processing those pieces together, and it allows you to exercise those interpersonal communication skills. Absolutely.
That's wonderful. Tell us, in your mind, like, who would be a good fit, both the child and the family, for this type of program?
The best fit is going to be a family that really is committed to the student learning a second language. And when I say committed, I mean the student's going to have routines outside of school to be able to have that space to practice language, whether it's the homework that's assigned or if it's having a tutor. A lot of times parents may know the second language, but they may not have the time or the patience to where, and that's okay, but maybe they will. Our biggest piece is we want our students to still be able to practice and be exposed to the Spanish language, because we realize outside of school, they're immersed in English. So whatever music they may see or television that they may see, anything that's in Spanish, even if it's 30 minutes a day, that is something.
Yes.
More than anything, we want our students to practice and to be comfortable, because what we even find with our students who are exposed to Spanish is access to vocabulary a lot of times is limited, and vocabulary, and you know this, speaking English, good vocabulary goes a long way.
Absolutely.
And so reading and writing helps expand your vocabulary. Using that vocabulary gives you practice to use it fluidly and appropriately, and that's what we have, which is why even in summer school for our pre-K and kindergarten students, we offer free summer school. The bilingual department has been very gracious to allow our students, whether they're emergent bilinguals or not, according to state and federal labels, to assist summer school to have an enrichment experience for the Spanish language and also the cultural aspects. And
so that they don't lose it over the summer.
And it's free.
Yes, and it's free. So you kind of create almost a year-round deal, but at that early age, you really do need them to be immersed year-round.
Yes.
Otherwise, they're going to slide a little bit more.
Yes, and we see the summer slide. Every school sees a summer slide,
Right.
but we see it within the language as well. But that's been a program we've been able to offer for the last 2 summers, and we look forward to continue offering that.
That's wonderful. That's a great extra for those students. I know, and it's free. So the parents that are listening, they're sold, they're ready to apply. The application window is open. Tell us a little bit about the application process. What can I as a parent expect if I want to enroll my student?
Well, the good thing is this is our second year where we have an online enrollment process, which has been very helpful and convenient for the parents. So they don't even have to leave their home. They could apply online, but it is going to involve a few things. One is the application. 2, depending on the student's age, if they're a little older, they'll need a teacher referral. The parent will be contacted to make sure that they submit all the enrollment information, birth certificates, and all that good stuff.
All the normal stuff.
And then the parent will be contacted to schedule an appointment for their child to come and take the language assessment. So if the child is 4 or 5 years old going in a pre-K kinder, they'll ask the parent, what language is your child most strongest in? Because we want the student to do their absolute best. And I had already mentioned, we're not looking for fluency in Spanish, we're looking for strength in one language. And so we want the child to do well. If they're older, I would say starting from first grade on up, the language assessment would be in Spanish. And then after that, we go through the selection process, and for the parents who receive an acceptance letter, we ask them to come to an orientation, because I also realize, even though I have campus tours available right now that they can schedule, not everyone has time during the day to schedule that. And so it's really important for us that once the child is accepted, the parent really understands what immersion means, because sometimes those orientations are the first time they hear that their child will be immersed in Spanish in pre-K and eventually have
maybe this isn't the right fit for our family, and doing all the outside things you talked about, or they're even more excited. They're like, wow, this is even better than I thought.
Yes.
So if you want to fill out that application, you said all online, you just go to tylerisd.org/Birdwell. And then once they've submitted that, they come in and take the test. And then usually you have until March 1st to do that, and then letters that let them know if they got in go out April 1st. Is that correct?
Absolutely. And I would encourage anybody who's interested in Birdwell to not only follow us on Facebook and our webpage, but follow our PTA as well. We have a very strong PTA. Our president this year is Katie Garrity, and she has been able to do a lot of awesome things this year to help also create an even bigger community of involved parents. So that would be another piece that I would say, as a parent of Birdwell, it's really important that for anyone considering our school to think about integrating into our parent community, because those play dates are so meaningful, not only socially, but also for students to practice their Spanish and also to access cultures of families from all Latin America, and that's free, and it's lifelong relationships that can be built and cultivated.
That's wonderful. We have covered so many wonderful things today. What is it that you want parents and those that are listening to leave with today?
I want them to leave knowing that at Birdwell we do function as a family. Every student that comes into our school, we care about, we are rooting for them, we want them to be successful. We do have high expectations, but we also have a lot of supports in place to help them in their journey as they become bilingual and biliterate. And by the time they leave middle school, we want them to be proud of not only being bilingual, but also have the interpersonal communication skills to assert themselves. Because once they go into high school is almost 3,000 students in population. And we are very pleased with the middle school students who are going into the high schools, and the feedback that we're getting for our students, for our alumni, makes us very happy, because we know if they're successful, then everything that happened along the way was worth it. And we're just very proud of them. We're very proud of them. They come back to us. Even if we have PTA carnivals, they're there. If we have Copa Entre Generaciones, they want to play. They still haven't let go, because they remember where they came from, and we want them to be tight with each other as long as possible.
That's wonderful. Thank you so much for joining us, Mina. We appreciate you speaking with us today about Birdwell Dual Language Immersion School. Again, those applications are open if you're interested, and you have until March 1st to fill them out. tylerisd.org/Birdwell. Go and check it out. Also schedule those school tours. As Mina said, they are going on right now as we speak. And if you would like to learn more about all things Tyler ISD, you can always subscribe to our external newsletter at get.tylerisd.news. We would like to thank our sponsor, Texas Bank and Trust. Subscribe to Talks with Tyler ISD on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or YouTube. Please share this episode with your friends and family.